Good day, everybody. It is Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys should subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and follow us over on social media. So, we've discussed this for a couple episodes now. Like, I think that it was around episode 1. We sort of talked about this idea, like, hey, what if the Winter Maiden is Nora's grandmother? Because if you guys don't know, Nora's voice actress was basically sort of teasing at the fact that Nora may sort of get a backstory reveal. And we were like, okay, well, how could she get a backstory reveal? And we had a couple theories. We had a theory that Nora was a long-lost princess in Atlas, so not literally a princess,
because
but like a noble person.
Where she came from.
Exactly.
We just know that she showed up.
So we guessed, how could Atlas connect with Nora? And so we sort of had a theory that you know, her family was sort of noble people, like rich people, like Weiss, and so she was a lost, like, princess, like, that was the whole theory, right? And that somehow stuff happened. Like, we sort of had a theory, like, because of the uprising that happened in Mantle, they had to, like, flee or something, like, very Anastasia, I think that was, and so I really liked that theory. And then I think our other one was just that they, actually the reverse, like that her parents had worked in Mantle and they fled, like they fled to Mistral to have a better life. Does that make sense? So they went to the continent of Mistral and then they died. Dun dun dun. Okay. And so, as the volume progressed, though, I think it was the second episode where we got confirmation from Winter that the Maiden was no spring chicken, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so that was when we were like, grandma, like, you know what I'm saying, that Nora's grandmother could be that old lady. Like, I think it was around that, and it was also because in RWBY Chibi, Nora says that her grandmother is very strong. Right? And so we were sort of like, could that be a sort of hint that they just put in Chibi, like, in a weird way? Because Chibi's not canon, but people were like, huh, like, that could have been a hint. And so we were sort of theorizing that, you know, because of, like, Nora being like, yeah, my grandma's super strong. Like, she's not supposed to know her grandmother in Chibi, right? So that would be something that the writers consciously sort of made as a joke. And super strong would be a maiden. Right.
We should also say that Nora wasn't our first choice. We had various other permutations of this theory that involved, like, Penny getting it, or...
Well, that had nothing to do with who the Winter Maiden was.
Yes,
like, Penny getting the powers.
But the idea of that Winter Maiden not being a spring chicken, and then that Winter Maiden powers needing to go to someone new.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so we sort of thought that Ironwood would put the Winter Maiden powers into Penny, but it seems like he's actually gonna put it into Winter, which, to be honest, like, they gave Penny, I said this the last time, they gave Penny the worst personality they could for, like, a robot who's, like, the people's lives depend on. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, Penny's not super responsible all the time. She doesn't have that stoic personality and that sort of, like, this is my choice, my responsibility, like Winter sort of has, and, you know, to sort of embrace that, but, what we sort of said could have been like the jumble was that Ironwood thinks that this is gonna go so well for him, but what if this old lady does remember Nora and thinks about her granddaughter, and then whoopsie poopsie, Nora gets the powers.
Because here's something about Winter being the Winter Maiden.
Can we talk about the evidence for her being grandma first? And then talk about that after?
Go ahead. Okay,
so I have this picture of Nora, and we also have this picture of Grandma, and so what I'm really hinging on is that they have very, like, similar pointy hair.
Yeah.
Okay, also, right, because she's the grandmother, right? So it's not like it's gonna look like, Raven looks like a carbon copy of Yang, because she is. Okay, they just took Raven's model in RWBY Volume 2, and, you know, recolored it to look like Yang. Or wait, the other way around. They recolored Yang's model to make Raven, basically. But, you know, sort of the pointiness of the hair, and all that stuff. Even the eyes, like, her eyes are blue, Nora's eyes are a bit more turquoise, but again, like, you don't look exactly like your grandparents. Some people do, but, you know, you look more similar to your parents. And this is definitely, like, she's old, man. Like, she is thinning out, she has, like, all these wrinkles over here, like, she's definitely, getting old. And so that's the first thing, is that they do look similar enough that they could possibly be related. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is actually, what was in this picture that I wanted to show you? So I think that I'm actually trying to get over here to the flowers. So the flowers actually represent motherhood and, like, fertility and stuff like that, which is kind of weird.
Lilies?
Yeah, I think so. Like, somebody told me that they did. I don't know if that's true.
We Googled it afterwards. We got... One thing that I would say that I think...
We have to talk about her name still, but yeah, if these mean motherhood or something like that, that fits in with two things. That fits in with the first thing of her being a grandmother, because, you know, motherhood, grandmotherhood, it's kind of all the same. And I want to talk about the paintings, but we looked up her name, and her name is Freya, right? Which is very close to two Norse goddess names.
Well, it is it's a more phonetically spelled pronunciation of Freya, which is the husband of Odin.
The husband? Who's
the wife
of
Odin,
right.
Who is the father of Thor, and as we all know, Nora is based off of Thor, so there's that, like, named connection between the two.
Yeah, so there's definitely that, and also, we were looking it up, and apparently, like, there's two goddesses that scholars or academics think were the same person, so there was Freya, but there was also one, I think they would pronounce it Frigg, like Frigg. That's a spelling that we saw. And so it's almost like they combined those two things together and made this name in a sense, right? Because they didn't go all the way for Freya, but they made it shorter, like the other goddess's name. And while we were looking online, academics were basically like, these goddesses are probably the same person because they are sort of utilized in mythology as the same thing. Like they are Odin's wife. And she actually represents fertility and motherhood and stuff like that. She represents that sort of stuff. And I was also looking at what other people were saying after we watched the episode, and that she is considered one of the first Valkyries. I don't know how true that is, but that's what people are saying. In terms of the paintings, I don't think that there's that much significance to them like I wanted there to be, but I think it's just concept art that they literally just put on the wall because, okay, the one of the bird, that's supposed to be Crow, and that's the rock from volume 4, I think, if you guys remember.
Yes.
Then you have Menagerie, which is like totally irrelevant. You have some Atlas caves, and one of them looks like a school or something.
Yes.
But I'm not really sure about that. But there is one that does look like it is in Mistral. Some people were saying that cliffside could have represented like the mountain from like Kagayuri, like the mountain that they had to go through to get to the
well, that would have
been
the
mountain that they went through
that
to
would have
like
been
wake
on
up
Minstrel.
the Grim.
That one would have been a Minstrel as well.
Yeah, so we do have two Mistral paintings here. Again, I'm
what
not
it communicates to me is that it was a world traveler, which maybe, impresses upon the idea that she was royalty to be able to afford this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And she probably also traveled because, like, she's a fucking maiden. Like, I'm sure Ozpin gives
Remember that time
a nice
we
payout.
lost
You know what I mean?
my granddaughter in, was it Minstrel? I think it was Minstrel.
And so, even this one has sort of the Greek column situation, so I would say that 3 out of 4 of these pictures are Mistral. Does that make sense? Because remember, like, it's
that
Greek-inspired.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure. This is, like, an interior shot, but it has the columns.
I thought Mistral was, like,
Asian and Greek, right?
Oh,
because Pyrrha is from
Greek.
Mistral.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
And so you sort of have that as well. And one of these caves is from Atlas, right? And so I feel like these do sort of give details about her life. Menagerie, sort of the question mark. I don't think Nora's a faunus. Like, I'm not sure if they would do that or not. But yeah, and so some of the paintings, I don't think it means as much as people want them to, like I already said that. But I do think that it could give some evidence on her sort of life. She's obviously painting places that she's seen, right, that she's remembered. And so I feel like that's obviously very helpful when we look at it. But I think the name connection is the strongest one. They literally gave her a Norse mythology fucking name. Okay, like how much, you know what I mean? How much more of a connection do you really need? Like how many other people have Norse mythology names? I don't think anyone does, like out of the entire show other than Nora, right?
Nora, yeah, it would only be her. I would say this is that so far with the maidens, we've gone from it being expected to subversion. So like the first Fall Maiden, well, other than Amber, who like the Fall Maiden powers did not go to Pyrrha, it went to someone whose last name is Fall.
Right.
So it's a little on the nose but then that kind of changed when we meet Vernal. Vernal's name means spring, so we assume she's the Spring Maiden, but then there's the twist and she pulls off the mask and we learn that it's Raven who's the Spring Maiden.
Yeah.
Now we're in the situation where someone named Winter is going to become the Winter Maiden, and that seems on the nose again. Kind of like how Vernal was.
This is definitely, like, Death Flag City for Winter, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be interesting if Ironwood manufactured all this, right? Winter's the only one she can see. She's trying to make her think about Winter all the time. And they also have the pods there. So, like, worst comes to worst, I feel like they're going to stick Winter in the pod and not do this very naturally, right? But how fucking hilarious would it be if after all this planning, it goes to fucking Nora, okay? Because that's hilarious, like, for the audience, but it's also hilarious in terms of Ironwood, and it sort of shows that you can try to, you know, plan all this stuff out, but magic is fucking magic, and guess what? You can't really control
that really works into his character development as that he's someone who always feels like he can be in control.
Yeah.
And he overestimates his ability constantly, like you saw that in kind of volume 3 and 2, and
there's
arguably
also,
you might be seeing it in volume 7.
What am I trying to say? There's a human conflict to this. Okay, what if Ironwood and them, like, they figure out that Nora is related to Grandma, and Nora's never had any family, she has been an orphan all her life, and she can't say goodbye to her because of the chance, right, that she may think about Nora instead of Winter, and that presents a human conflict to Ironwood. Do you let this girl say goodbye to the one family member that she still has alive, the only person that can tell her about her parents and where they are or if they're dead, or do you withhold all that information from her just so Winter can be the maiden? And to be honest, I wonder if that's why the pods are in the room. Because maybe we'll actually see a human side of Ironwood where he does have the heart, let Nora see her grandmother, talk to her grandmother, but then it's like, okay, get the fuck out of here. Winter, go in the pod.
Winter,
Grandma, get in the pod.
Grandma, get in the pod. I just imagine Ironwood picking her up by, like, the lapels and chucking her into the top.
Basically, and they kill her and do it manufactured. And so that would sort of be interesting for Ironwood's
I would say
character.
that they're trying to give Nora more moments in this season. Like, they're having her, like, have a bit of a conflict with Ren.
Nora,
she's having a lot of, like good, funny Nora moments. So I feel like they're trying to make it seem more realistic that she could be, like, have this central thing.
To be honest, right, Jean got his, okay, Ren got his, and now Nora needs hers. Right, development is what I'm talking about. Ren got his with his family and his backstory. We all saw that in volume 4. Nora hasn't really gotten that. So I feel like really this volume they are focusing on Weiss, clearly.
Yeah.
Weiss, her family. RWBY a little, but not so much. Like, they're trying to give a little bit to everyone. Like, even John and Marrow had a nice sort of moment in the moments with the Aesops. But it's really like Crow, Winter and Robin, RWBY, and, like, doing what's right and stuff. And, like, Blake and Yang have sort of been like, you got enough. Stay over there for a little bit.
They still get a lot of,
you know
like,
what
relationship.
Yeah, relationship together, but I'm saying individually, like, y'all are done for a while. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it sort of makes sense that they would go for Nora next. I love this theory. Like, I think that this is a great idea. I think it's probably true. Like, out of all of the relations theories that we've done, right? Like, we had a theory like, oh, like, what if, like, Robin and Crow know each other, like, stuff like that. Like, what if Robin was a part of the tribe, which, like, we still don't know if she was, like, ever in the tribe. She still could have been, just not family connection, because there are people in the tribe that aren't related to Raven.
Although,
right?
She doesn't know Crow, so I think that's pretty
I
unlikely
mean, Crow left the tribe, though, like, 1,000,000 years ago, so who the fuck knows what he's been doing?
You'd hear about it.
Would you?
Maybe.
I don't know, like, anyway, what I'm trying to say is I think out of everything that we've done, the strongest two theories right now is Nora's grandmother being related to Nora. That's what I'm calling her, Nora's grandmother,
and then Watts, the current Winter
and
Maiden.
Jacques being related. Because we also had an idea, like, what if it was actually Pietro's daughter, and he modeled Penny to look to look like Nora, like the daughter that he had lost. Which I thought was a really good theory, but Pietro was black, and Nora is the whitest that she could probably ever be, so I'm guessing that theory is no longer true. Like, she would at least be mixed, right? Like, you know, she would at least look biracial. Would she not? I don't know. So, yeah, she's probably not Pietro's daughter, and he did not recognize her.
You probably wouldn't be that lily white if you were.
That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, and so, clearly, what I'm trying to say is, like, Pietro theory's dead. Like, that one's dead. But I really liked it, because that would have been very meaningful, like, if he made a robot daughter to replace his. And he may have still done that, but it could have been Nora. It wasn't. But I do like the Winter Maiden situation, because it brings up moral questions for, like, Ironwood and everyone else. So, yes. That is it. Anything you want to add, Hunter, or are we good?
We're good.
All right. So we will see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who support our channel. Their names will be showcased now.